You don't start things and not finish them. You don't quit. There's nothing that comes out of quitting besides knowing that you didn't finish. We finish everything. You start it, finish it. If you're going to do it to try to be the best. Not to be better than other people, but to be the best for you. You grind hard so you can play hard. The work you put in will pay off. It could be a year, it could be 30 years, but you keep grinding. Welcome to Big Reptile Talk.
What is up, everybody, man? Welcome to the podcast. This is Big Reptile Talk. And of course, as always, please go show some love to the channel supporters, the channel sponsors, man. Ozzy Boys, Redline Science, the Reptile Report, Venom-Proof Cages, and Balls to You. Like, how awesome is it that we get to flex those logos, man? Like, Balls to You, just an awesome guy. You know, the Reptile Report, Redline Science, just both amazing ideas. And of course, you know, we just had him on, so you know, and he lets us, you know, sport that logo, man. So much love to him, man, for supporting me in my dreams. And also, please go check out Venom-Proof Cages. I got one behind me. Just awesome craftsmanship, and of course, man, much love to the people showing up in the chat. I love y'all. Special shout out to the channel members. Thank you for allowing me to chase my dream. I'm super excited, man. This is Big Reptile Talk with, you know, Jeremy. Brassman Reptiles, man, formerly of Nerd. You know, we're gonna catch up with him. We're gonna talk life after Nerd. We're gonna get some knowledge on ball pythons. You know, because that's what the basis of my channel is. I want people to be able to come here, whether it's 30 minutes, whether it's 45 minutes, whether it's an hour. I want breeders to be able to come here and leave with some knowledge and a few laughs. So before we bring him in, just thank you for everybody in the chat, man. I love you. Get them super chats in. You see what my wife said. Get those likes up. Get those super chats up, man. I might do something special. Who knows? Hey, Michaela. Hey, Kara. Hey, Craft Brew. That's a member of the channel. Reptile Feedings, member of the channel. Gary, Lekka, everybody that is showing up. I appreciate you. Tonight's gonna be fun, man. So let's bring in our guest. Let's pick his brain and just see what he's been up to, man. So I'm gonna bring him in. Y'all know Big Jeremy, man. Brassman Reptiles. How you doing today, bro?
What's up, man? I'm doing good. How are you, man?
Man, excited to have you here, man. Before we start the podcast, man, I got something for you, brother.
Oh boy. All right. What's good? What's good?
I'm gonna put myself on solo and show. No, we want to see your face.
Oh boy.
I got something for you, brother. I told you I was gonna give this to you next time I seen you. Now, what does this represent? Now, I'm not even gonna say it. I want you to tell me, what does this represent, Jeremy? What does this mean when I hold this up?
I mean, I can think of a bunch of things that the reverse card means, man. To be totally honest.
For me, everybody in the chat, if y'all don't know, like I'm a big fan of Jeremy, man, and I feel like he stole my life. You know, from working at Nerd to hanging out with Brian Barczyk to hanging out with Rob, everybody in the industry. You know, he stole my life. So now he's got to come live my life, and I'm gonna live his life.
Oh man, that's great.
I love it, man. I love it, man. Now, you know, like I said, I want people to be able to come here and get knowledge. That's the basis of my show. So I want you to talk, you know, breeding wise. I want you to tell me, like, project wise, you know, what do you think people should be in? You know, what's going to be the wave for 2022? You know, project wise, do you think it's going to be triple recessive, double recessive? Is it going to be a certain morph?
Yeah, I mean, I think you know, multi-recessive combos are definitely where the industry is going. You know, I mean, from the the mid 90s up until just a few years ago, really, it was all about just stacking genes, stacking codom genes, and maybe the occasional recessive getting involved. But now we're at a point where it's very much recessive gene oriented, which I think is great. You know, I mean, it forces us to have that longevity of a project. It's not as easy as throwing a spider and a pinstripe together and making a spinner. You have to go that next level of, okay, and a lot of recessive genes, especially the newer things, are not really cheap. I mean, look at the Sunset Project. People are driving $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 on sunsets. So if you want to get into that project, unless even the hets are, a little bit of money. So if you want to get into a project, it's going to cost you some money. And then there's that investment of time on top of it, because you have to have that extra generation involved with those het animals. So I think that's definitely the way the industry is going. Even just making a double recessive, like a clown pied. Just to make a clown pied is a massive feat, and I think we're all starting to go towards that. And then it'll be, okay, well, we're going to make this harder. Now we're going to add a codom involved. Now we're going to add 2 codoms and get them involved and see what happens. In every project. So it's, I think years back, I think about the time we were all talking about, like, the ball python market is dying. This is, like, I think, just the beginning. We've gone through phase 1. Phase 1 was stacking as many genes as possible and, dabbling in the recessives. Now it's throw the recessives in there and then try to stack genes and pray to God you hit some good odds in the mix.
I love it, man. I love it, man. Now, you've been breeding for a while, man. How long have you been breeding, big bro?
I've been breeding reptiles for probably about 15 or 16 years. I started keeping when I was like 7 or 8 years old. So it was about 21, 22 years ago is when I started keeping. And not long after that is when I got into breeding. It started with green anoles is what I first bred, then went to leopard geckos and bearded dragons, corn snakes, ball pythons. By the time I was 18, I had bred about 2 dozen different species of reptiles, between lizards and snakes and stuff.
I love it, man. Look at Troy. You see what Troy just said. Look what Troy just said.
Appreciate that, Troy.
Shout out to Best Dressed Balls, man. He's definitely killing it, man. Now, I want you to talk, like I said, because I want this to be about knowledge, man. A lot of new breeders get into the hobby and, they think they're going to throw snakes and make those Cabelka snakes, those Ozzy snakes right off the rip. And they don't understand that longevity is so important. And, I want you to talk about, longevity. And when I say that, how long do you think new breeders should expect to be in the game before they are profitable?
Man, I think back to when I was listening last night to your podcast with Will from RCR, and he was saying like 5 or 6 years, and I think if you're somebody that's dedicated to actually doing this, I think that 5 to 6 year mark is the point when you can start to turn profit for sure. I mean, it's, if you're willing to put the money up, you can get your hands on some amazing animals. I mean, to put things into perspective, when I was first starting to breed ball pythons, a single gene male coral glow was over $60,000. That was like the holy grail. So the fact that you can get your first ball python to be a male coral glow and it cost you maybe $200, like, shit, I wish, so it's, and with that, I think the entire ball python market became quite a bit more affordable, when that price drop happened. So if you're willing to put up the money, we've seen it. Justin's highlighted, I forgot the name of the person, but, made some crazy pied combos, from some double hets that he produced, and he put in the time and the effort, and that was like season 1. Bam. He got lucky. So it is possible to become profitable in a shorter period of time, but you have to be willing to make that investment of both money and then the time to back it up. If you go through and ask a lot of the old school long time breeders of ball pythons, Kevin Barchek, Ralph Davis, like all these guys, did you hit the odds in every clutch? Man, I can't tell you how many stories Kev used to tell me over the years of, like, man, I whiffed on this clutch. Now, I might look at that clutch and be like, oh my God, this is all amazing stuff. But for what he was expecting to produce, he missed it. So, he's like, it's cool stuff, but it's not what I wanted. And I remember very vividly him telling me a story of breeding a champagne to a normal. So this is like way, way back, right? Champagne to a normal, 9 eggs, no champagnes, all normals on a co-dominant animal. So in theory, should have seen at least 4 champagnes. None. Got none.
Insane.
It's crazy, So now that we've got, we're pairing a 5-gene animal to a 5-gene animal. The chances of you getting anything, on the crazy low end or the crazy high end is astronomical. So, being dedicated to what you're doing and also being real and understanding that genetics is not a perfect science, so just because you think you put 2 snakes together to get X doesn't mean you're not going to get the rest of the alphabet before X happens.
Right. I love it, man. I agree with you. Now, you've been breeding for so long, man. I want you to inspire the newer breeders, and when I say that, I want you to lift them up. And I say that, you say that a lot of newer breeders run into problems and they instantly just jump out of the hobby. I don't like that. So I want you to talk about some of the problems you have encountered and kind of lift them up and say you will encounter these problems, and how do you, beat them? Like you might have an egg-bound female, reabsorption, a female that that doesn't want to breed. What are some of the problems that you have had, and how did you, get past them?
Yeah, I've had probably all of those things happen, and for those who don't know me, I work with a multiple amount of species. I currently have about 12 different species of snakes that I keep and breed, and they all pose their own challenges. But if we focus on ball pythons, I've had females get egg bound. Anybody who's followed me from Nerd knows I had a big retic this past season get egg bound. So it happens. I've had males that have been stubborn breeders that don't want to breed right away. Females that just don't produce for a year for whatever reason, even though they're of size. I think it's important to realize that it looks great on paper, right? Like, I'm going to buy a pastel and a spider and I'm going to put them together and I'm going to make bumblebees. And that all sounds great. And then you put them together and that male is like, I don't like girls. And it like stays on the opposite side of the cage and wants nothing to do with that female. It happens. So my biggest piece of advice is patience is key. And it's so hard, especially if you do put up a good amount of money, where you're like, man, I hope my ROI, my return on investment, happens quickly, especially if you're dropping a few $1,000s, you'd like to recoup that in a fairly timely manner, but I think patience is key, and understanding that it's not always as easy as just putting 2 snakes in a bin and, hoping they go crazy. So I would also suggest, if you come across these problems, reach out, find somebody that's doing this, be it myself or anybody else. And it's like, hey man, do you have any tricks to get a stubborn male to start breeding? Because there are plenty of tricks. Do you have a trick to get a female that's maybe I ultrasound her and she's like at 8mm follicles, and 2 or 3 weeks later I ultrasound her again, she's still at 8mm follicles, maybe they're smaller. Do you have any tricks to get that girl going? And there's tricks to do that too, but you'll never know if you don't ask. So we live in an age where it's really easy to reach out to somebody and ask for help. So patience, and don't be afraid to ask for assistance. Those would be the two biggest pieces of advice, to just be like, hey man, stick with it. It does get easier, but you got to figure it out.
Right. I love it, man. It's just like you as a breeder, you're going to have problems. Don't, jump out of the hobby. We all have those problems. Now, Ozzy, he's not home right now. She wants to see your tubs. He's not at home right now. So
oh yeah,
we'll try that in another question.
I'm about 250 miles away right now. So
right. Now, I want to play a game, man. I want to have fun, man. So I'm gonna give you a hot seat
Okay.
question.
Okay.
You know, we look at the bigger breeders at stores. You know, boutique stores. I feel like Ozzy's Gucci. You know, I feel like Justica Belka, that's Louis Vuitton. So if I come shop with Brassman Reptiles, what store am I shopping at? You know, what
Oh
store are you most
man.
comparable to?
Oof. That's a tough one, man.
Any store.
Oof. Man, you're gonna have to make me think. That's also tough because I work with so many different things, man. You make me feel like a Walmart. You come in and get anything you want, bro.
You,
Oh man.
but you know what? Being a Walmart is not bad because that's a $1 billion company. So
That's
that's
true.
it's not bad.
That's true. But no, but I try to have better quality than a Walmart. So maybe a Target. Yeah.
You know, now that's where the rich people shop.
Yeah. Oh
I love
man.
it, man. I love
That's
it,
a
man.
hard
Now,
question, bro. It's really hard because I don't just focus on one thing. I've got so many other projects going on. It's hard to dial that in.
but do it like quality wise. What would you be like a Coach? Would you be like an Under Armour, Michael Kors? Like what
Oh
What
man.
what?
Yeah. Man. Dude, yeah, that's a good question. I do like that Michael Kors though. That's
There you go. There you
that's
go. When you shop at
quality.
Brassman,
That's quality at a solid price, but you ain't gonna go broke at the end of it.
I love it, man. I love it. That's what it's about, man. Having fun, man. Now, I want you to talk now, man. About Morph Market, the importance of being a new breeder and being on Morph Market, and not just that. I want you to talk about do you ever see Morph Market overtaking the reptile expos?
That's a good question, man. I definitely don't see Morph Market ever taking over expos ever. I mean, it serves a vital purpose. But the reptile shows, you'll never beat going out and seeing people. You know, that's the whole joy of expos, man. There are shows I go to specifically to just go see people. Like Tinley. I'll give you the exclusive. I'm hoping to be vending at Tinley in October of 2022. But Tinley is a show that I enjoy going to just to go. Daytona is a show I like going to just to go. That camaraderie of all those people, all of my friends that I've known for, some of them for 20 years, or what feels like 20 years sometimes. Just I just love that, and I don't think you could ever replace that. But I will say, as we've seen with current times with COVID, something like Morph Market is vital. When we can't get together, people need that outlet to sell. I mean, back in the day, it was kingsnake.com. It was Kingsnake and Fauna Classifieds. And before the internet, reptile shows were the Morph Market. So I think there's a really good balance, and there are some people that don't even need Morph Market. Like Will was saying that he doesn't sell more than a couple percent of like single digit percent of his animals on Morph Market. The rest he's able to sell without. But I think it's important. The thing that is nice with Morph Market is originally when it popped up, it was a classified site. So if you wanted to go buy a snake, you went to Morph Market. Now it is that and more. It's becoming a resource for people to understand more about what's going on. He just launched Morphpedia, to be able to get breeder info, direct from the sources on genetics, and I think that's vital. World of Ball Pythons was sort of accomplishing that, but as they got flooded with stuff, it's hard to keep all that info in one place. But then you have the forums there, that community, that back and forth. I think that's what makes Morph Market the hub that it is, and how it was able to go from 0 to 100 so fast, because in reality, it's been around for a few years, quite a few years, but it's really like dominated, and the more John evolves the community side of Morph Market, I think that the longer it's going to stay such a big piece of the industry.
Right. I love it, man. So much knowledge, man. Now, I want you now to talk about Nerd, man. Like life after Nerd. What has Brassman been up to? And this like a two-part question because inquiring minds want to know. Now, with the reptile bands that you were talking about yesterday, and where you're living at, do you feel like they might hinder what you got going on? Are we thinking about a Nerd return?
No nerd return. No
Shit.
nerd return. It doesn't affect me in that way. But yeah. So life after nerd. We'll hit part one. Life after nerd. Um, for those who don't know, I left nerd to pursue some musical opportunities that have come my way. And in tandem with that, has given me free time to pursue and push Brassman a bit more, which has just been a win-win situation for me. So I've been gigging quite a bit, working with my new band based in Charlotte, getting that kind of off the ground for 2022, which is going to be great. Um, and people have been like, we don't, we don't necessarily see you like gigging with your band, like what's going on? And I moved from New England, which is where I was born and raised, to North Carolina, which is where I have a network, but I have to rebuild my band, down there. I've got to get new musicians. I've got to fly my music director down to work out rehearsals and all that stuff. So it takes some time. But in the meantime, I mean, I've been lucky enough to do gigs and hang out with 5-time Grammy award-winning musicians and stuff, and traveling all over the place. It's been wonderful. And so to be able to do that and have Brassman like right there backing it up, I mean, that's been great. And I wouldn't change it for the world, So yeah, with the proposed legislation happening in North Carolina, it's frightening. I'm pretty confident we've got some really solid people in the Carolinas to help deal with these issues. But just like any, I hope that people are watching what's happening in North Carolina, what's been happening on the southeastern part of the country, and are really becoming aware that this stuff is going to start to happen everywhere. We need to be ready to deal with it, and we need to know how to deal with it. I've worked pretty closely with USARK for about 10 years, before Phil took over. And what the purpose they serve for this industry is so. If there was something else next to vital, like above the word vital, that would be, the need of USARK. It is such a vital part of being able to continue what we want to do.
Right. I love it, man. Now, one thing I will say, I love USARK. I hope everybody supports them. But I think too, what in the hobby, what I think, I think that we all need to come together. You know what I mean? You know, no matter how you keep like for instance, no bickering, I don't like you, you don't like that. I think we all should come together so we can focus on one problem. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
united we stand, divided we fall. You feel me?
Absolutely, and I mean, unfortunately, the industry for as long as I can remember, there's always been these little divides and these little niches and stuff, um, and it sucks, especially like, and sometimes it's within a niche, the biggest targets when it comes to legislation are usually the big snakes, right? Retics, berms, anacondas, all that stuff. Venomous reptiles, of course, and then crocodilians. And I certainly think that not everybody is equipped to handle those three groups of animals. Um, but in tandem with that, those are the three easiest things for them to pick off. After that, they just start coming for everything else. So it's that's why it's so vital that we pay attention to these things and that we are that united front, as you were just saying. Um, but like what I was saying last night is one of the things we failed at executing is contacting the pet owners, right? So you can talk to the breeders and everything all day long, right? They will gladly get up there and get involved for the most part, and be like, hey man, like this affects my business, but we've missed in the instance of what we're dealing with in North Carolina, that person that owns a tegu, they own one tegu and they love that tegu. It's their dog, it's like their dog and they love it to death. And, let's just say if this passed, and their tegu dies for some reason, after the way the language of that proposal is worded right now, after August 1st of 2022, you wouldn't be able to get another black and white tegu, if it passed as it's written right now. That's huge for a pet owner, who's just like, I enjoy this animal as a pet. Oh no, something happened to my beloved pet, some time, your grief, and then you're like, maybe I want to get another one. And then all of a sudden you find out, oh, you can't. The whole state has outlawed them. That's ludicrous. It seriously is. And, but we've missed those people. We don't communicate with those people. We've missed reaching out to those mom and pop pet shops that, that service those pet owners. We've missed the pet tubers, as we call them, on YouTube and all the other social platforms, that's their audience. The mom whose kid has a bearded dragon, or the mom whose kid has a tegu, like they're watching those videos. We've missed those people, and we've also missed the opportunity to collaborate with these people. And I've been calling it like reaching across the aisle, right? Because we're all political these days. So reaching across the aisle to be a truly united front as just people who love reptiles. Doesn't matter, if you're breeding them or if you keep them in, badass bioactive setups. It doesn't matter, and it shouldn't matter. The bickering of like racks versus cages and all this other shit. All that shit means nothing if you can't keep the animal anymore. So what are you gonna talk about then? It's because you kept it in a rack. That's why we can't keep it anymore, because you're evil. Oh, well, you've been telling people to put it in a glass cage, which is known to not be the best setup for the animal. So maybe all the people that have had bad experiences thanks to your content, are, what I mean? Like, is that what the bickering is going to become? Like, what the hell? That doesn't serve a purpose. Shut up, realize that there's a bigger problem, and freaking work on it. And be willing to look. I could freaking hate you, but if working with you is going to help us be able to keep our animals, then damn it, I'm going to work with you, and I'll go back to hating you afterwards.
I love it, man. I love it. Just so much knowledge, man. Shout out to Best Dressed Balls. He said we'd love to see you sometime talk about, snake disease, or IBD, NIDO, so on. And we got to do a show, man, to where you can talk about your knowledge on that stuff, man.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, Troy brought that up the other day in one of my live streams, and he got me going on. I was with the kids from the Snake Pit, and he got me going on that stuff too. And I'd be more than happy to talk about that kind of stuff.
Right. I love it, man. Now, since we're on YouTube, man, I thought I'd give you an idea, man. What do you think about me giving you an idea for your YouTube, man?
Hit me with it. I might tell you it's shit, though.
I love it, man. I love it. I think that the hobby needs friendly competition, man, and it's entertaining, it's fun. So I would love to see you get on your YouTube and call Rob and be like, "Look, bro, we're gonna have a little friendly sell off. If you can sell 10 snakes before me, I'll buy you a steak. But if I sell 10 steaks, you gotta take me to the strip club or something. Just something fun,
I would 100% do that. You don't have any, but I can guarantee you that Rob would beat me.
You think he out hustle you?
Oh, I have watched Rob post a dozen snakes on Morph Market, and within 3 days they're all gone. I'm like, damn, bro. And he didn't even do anything. I'm over here like Instagram stories. Go check out Morph Market. I did all these great things. Look at they're for sale. And Rob is like, yeah, go look, buy what you want. And they buy it. And I'm like, shit.
Do you know why that is though? Because y'all have been on the channel for so long that y'all have your own followings now.
Well, I mean, it's certainly Nerd certainly gave us that boost of following, but I think it's important, and a lot of people don't necessarily know because they found us through Nerd. But I mean, Rob and I have been keeping reptiles for years prior to that. Rob has his own YouTube channel. He's posted videos years ago when he was still living in Massachusetts and all that stuff. And people who aren't familiar with me, I was doing YouTube back in 2008, 2009 with my original company. And when all of that chaos happened, which if you want to learn about that, you can just go to my Instagram profile and there's a highlight section that says BMR history. And that gives you the history of how Brassman got started. But when that company, died off, I just got rid of all the social media because I wanted a fresh start. I mean, I remember the first video that I did at Nerd, being a part of Nerd, I had gotten messages from people, like a few dozen people, who were like, oh my God, I thought you fell off the face of the earth. I bought my first snake from you, 8 years ago, 10 years ago, blah, blah, blah. Like, I thought you like vanished. Like, oh my God, it's so awesome to see you're still involved. So Nerd definitely helped me reconnect with a lot of those people that didn't know what happened. But as far as the sales game goes, Rob, so I've always liked a bunch of different species of reptiles. I've always kept a bunch of different species of reptiles. So people don't necessarily know me for one thing. They know me for a lot of different things. But Rob has been like Borneos, scrub pythons, like all these things for years. And he's built up so many connections with people over those years. When people are like, oh man, like I really want just like a cool Borneo short tail, go to Rob. Just go to Rob, because he's known for it. I'm over here like, I got 20 different species. What do you want? Open up a drawer. If you like it, buy it. Get out of here.
I love it. I love it, man. I love it, man. And since we're talking about YouTube, man, now this is more so for me, big bro.
Yeah.
And I hope it's like a funny story behind it. But I want to talk about your podcast, Reptile Talk, man. And I want to know
small reptile talk, right? Small reptile talk.
I'm gonna tell you something. You know why I named my podcast Big Reptile Talk?
Why is that?
Because you and Rob inspired me, bro.
Oh man, I appreciate that, man.
Yeah. Before I jumped into the podcast game, before I said, you know what, I want to talk to people, see what they're up to. I was watching podcasts. I was watching My Animal House. I was watching Iron Dog. I was watching MJ. I was watching y'all podcast. When I came across your podcast, I was like, these guys are really doing something that's incredible. I want to do what they're doing. So I was like, I'm stealing their name. And what are they gonna do? Sue me?
Subpoenas in the mail, bitch.
I love it, man. I love it, man. That's what it's about, man. Now, I want to talk about your podcast, man. Like, hopefully this has a funny story. I want to know, who was your hardest guest to get?
Oh, man. You know what? The hardest guest to get, we still haven't gotten yet. It's not necessarily a funny story, but so this was somebody who I recently was able to connect with in person, but it's somebody who, when I met them, I freaked out. I don't really freak out about meeting people in this industry. I don't. I've been lucky to be surrounded by a lot of the big guys from the time I was really young. But Dr. Sean Bush, So for anybody who's watched, I think it's Animal Planet or Discovery or one of the nature networks from years ago, there's a show called Venom ER, and it was Venom 1, which was down in Florida or California. I'm like forgetting minor details, but Sean Bush was the doctor that was called in for all these venomous snake bites. I used to love that show. And
I kind of remember it.
Yeah, and Sean, I was like, oh my God, this guy Sean Bush like knows all this stuff. Like this is so awesome. And I was doing an expo out on the eastern side of North Carolina, and a friend of mine was like, "Hey, Sean Bush is going to be here, and I want to introduce you guys. He should go on your podcast." And at first it didn't register. The name didn't register because that show hasn't been on for years. Like I was a kid when that show was on, and so it didn't register. And then he showed up and he was walking around with my friend, and I was like, "Oh my God, it's that Sean Bush! Holy crap!" Like I lost, like inside I was like, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God!" So I got to meet him and talk with him, and he was like, "Man, like I would love to be on the podcast," and blah. He's like, "Here's my email. Let's try to set something up." And I was like, "Oh my God, yes, this would be so awesome." So I'm like texting Rob. I'm like, "Oh my God, Dr. Sean Bush, he wants to be on the podcast. This is gonna be so awesome." So I've emailed him, and I've only had one correspondence back. Sean is an incredibly busy person, and outside of his professional career, he has a wife and kids and all of that stuff. So it has been incredibly difficult to nail him down, and I've been almost like procrastinating getting other things done because when he says he's available, I just want to be able to jump on it. So he's probably been the most difficult person to be able to nail down on the podcast. There are other people that like other people I'm just like, "Hey man, you want to do this podcast?" Or I'm shooting them a message and like, "Hey man, we would love to talk with you on the podcast." And I'm gonna be joining you in this battle to get Ralph Davis 100% on the podcast.
I know.
And listen, Ralph. Okay, here's a funny Ralph story. Right? I don't even know if Ralph will remember this. This was probably 2012, so almost 10 years back, right? I wanted to buy some snakes from Ralph, and I had his number, and I called him. It was like a Tuesday, right? And there's a reason I remember it was a Tuesday. So I call him, Ralph Davis, whatever. I'm like, "Hey man, like I'm interested in buying a couple snakes. I just want to chat for a second." He's like, "Oh, you can call me back. It's ping pong night." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, Tuesday's ping pong night. I'm playing ping pong, and call me later." And I was like, "What? What the hell? What ping pong? Okay, I'll call you later." But it was the most obscure thing I've ever had anybody. I've been on the phone with people and had them be like, "Hey man, I gotta let you go. I just got this 7-foot alligator out of an enclosure." I've had like bizarre phone calls, of like, "Oh shit, dude, this rattlesnake just got out of this enclosure. I gotta call you back." I've had those kind of phone calls before. I have never had anybody tell me that ping pong night was more important than doing some business and making a few $1,000s. So I don't know if Ralph even remembers that, but it was funny as hell to me, dude.
Something with Ralph Davis, man. Like I've messaged him, and we've chatted, but I don't know if I don't think I've been. You know what? And I'm a very determined man, but I don't think I'll ever be able to get him. and I'm determined. Like I will not pester, but I'm a determined man. I normally if I feel like words are so powerful. If I put it out into the world and I think about it and I use my effort, it normally happens.
Yeah.
But with him, I'm just like, nope. And I'm gonna tell you something. It's a good thing I don't have his address because I'd probably go to jail. He'd wake up and there'd be a microphone on his forehead like this.
Oh man, that's funny.
I'd creep for that interview. If I knew his address, I'd creep through his window and put a microphone right there in his eyeball. He'd probably wake up. What the hell? But I would because he's an OG in the game, man.
Man, there's a video. Anybody who's into ball pythons should go look for this video. It's a Ralph Davis video from way back in the day. It's a short video. Just search up, if you go to YouTube, you go to Ralph Davis Flatline ball python. Flatline like you're dead on a heart meter. And it's this really short video where he's just doing a walkthrough of his facility. And at the last 3 seconds, right? The last 3 seconds, he pans his camera over just a little bit on a baby rack, and there's a drawer pulled out, and there's this insane ball python in it. It's like a super pastel, Enchi clown thing. I don't think anybody knows what the Flatline was to this day, but we all saw that the last 3 seconds, and then the video just stopped. And then like Ralph vanished, like stopped posting on social media. And we were all like, what the fuck? And it was like a part of our wet dreams for the next 10 years. It was like, how do I make that snake? What is that snake? I still don't think anybody knows what the Flatline was.
That's insane, man. That is insane. You know what? I gotta put you on blast too. If anybody's watching y'all, Jeremy be stealing my guess. He stole Phil from me one time. I swear to God, I'm gonna tell this story. On my podcast, this is my podcast. I do what I want. I'm gonna tell this story. I don't care. So I was like, I hit up Jeremy. I was like, I'm so excited. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to get, the president of USARC. And Jeremy was like, oh yeah, watch this. And so I hit Phil, and Phil must have hit me back. He was like, yeah, we could do something in like 2 months. And I was like, shit, it's not a no, I'll take it. Then I go to work. I swear to God, I kid you not. I go to work the next day. I'm scrolling my YouTube feed, and Phil is sitting right there with Brassman and Rob. And I said, I know you lying. I must have hit Jeremy. I said, you show stealing. I need to call him and tease him again about that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, dude. Absolutely. I mean, listen, I've known Phil, God. I met Phil in person back in 2013 or 2014. So not long after he took over for USARC. And it was at a Daytona show. I was down in Daytona vending with some friends, and he was there, and I was like, oh man, that's Phil. I got to go introduce myself. So I think we'd had some correspondence on the line, but I had never met him, in person. So I've known him for a long time, and we had been at multiple state hearings in New England. I had gone out to Maine to testify out there in Massachusetts. And he was at all those meetings. So we'd see each other, and hang out for a little bit, and then also anybody who knows me knows I'm kind of a heckler, and I can be a little sarcastic if you haven't gotten that already. So I would go mess with him at Tinley and whatever, and we'd have a good time. But man, there are few people as dedicated to anything in this industry as Phil is to USARC. And I mean, I don't think people totally understand. I mean, when he first took over, he was keeping and I think breeding like blue tongue skinks and stuff like that. And he like got rid of everything or most of everything when he took over for USARC, because he realized like, holy crap, this is going to be a full-time job and I won't be able to do that. But this is more important. And I think now we were talking on one of the episodes we had him on, and he was saying that he's been starting to dabble in keeping a few other things now that he's in a rhythm of how the job works and stuff, so he's still invested in the industry. I mean, he's literally like the perfect guy for the job.
Right. Now, and I ain't gonna lie, when I seen that day, I said, Jeremy, you sneaky dog. I love it, man. Now before you go, man, because like I said, you're out of town, you're with your friends. I don't want to keep you too long. I'm gonna ask a few more questions, but these are more so fun and for me to know. So hot seat question, man. Now, we love everybody. Who is Brassman's favorite breeder?
Oh man, My favorite breeder. You know, that's again, it's hard because I don't just focus on one species. Um, so that's a challenge. Um,
Focus on ball pythons.
if we focus on ball pythons, okay, if we're focusing on ball pythons, it's gotta be, man, man, that's really rough. There's I don't think I can pick one because there's four that immediately come to mind, but all for different reasons.
Let me hear.
Okay, so you've got JD Constriction. It does
I
all
love them.
the axanthic stuff. Um, I think he took a project that so many people avoided because you remove the color from an animal, and it showed everybody that you can make some badass looking ball pythons that are just black and white. And I think that's amazing. Number two would be Kyle Hoffman, Royal Ambassador Reptiles. Um, Kyle was one of the pioneers of like double and triple recessive combos. Like he's nailed a lot of double and triple recessive animals because he invested himself in that really early on. So he's just working with some crazy stuff, and I think he's ahead of the game. And as the industry starts to go in that direction, I think you're going to see a lot more of him be popping up. And then the other two are it's the battle of the luxury brands, man. It's Ozzy and Justin, man. I think both of those guys are amazing. I've certainly talked more with Justin over the last couple of years than Ozzy for no particular reason. It's just happened that I've needed to communicate more with Justin. But yeah, I've been to Justin's place, so I've seen what he's got going on, and man, it was like every drawer was Christmas. It was like, what's happening, man? Like, it's crazy. I'm very envious of Rudy going to Ozzy's place. I
You
have
seen that
to
on his Instagram?
I did, and I have to still call Rudy to yell at him because he was on the East Coast and didn't come see me. And Rudy's known me for a long time. And when I was in California, I went to Rudy. I went to go see Rudy in California, but he came all the way to the East Coast and didn't come see me. So I got a bone to pick with Rudy. But Ozzy, I mean, obviously, I think we all love the Orange Dream project, and Ozzy, I think is a great example of finding a project and sticking with it and pursuing it to the ends of the earth, and it has worked out, tremendously in his favor, both financially and just everything else that he does. I mean, OD. It's like if you don't have OD, you're fucking up, man. Like,
I love it, man. I love it. I'm gonna touch bases on that myself. I had Ozzy on the other day,
mhm.
and he was laughing. He laughed because I said, Ozzy, I'm gonna tell you something. I seen you on Instagram the other day, and I got envious, and he just bust out laughing. And I said I got envious. The green eyed monster showed his face in three stage, and it was in three stages. I said that I was angry. I said then I was sad, and then I was happy. And he said, wow, what happened? I said, man, I'm scrolling my Instagram feed, and I see that Rudy is hanging out with the legend, Ozzy himself. I said, instantly I got mad. The green eye monster, instantly I got mad. I said, I'm at work. And Rudy's hanging out with Ozzy. This is bullshit. And then I said the grief came. Then the grief. I said, okay, now I'm sad. I'm really at work, not looking at snakes with Ozzy. Now I'm sad. And then the happiness came. I said, okay, now I'm happy. I said, we need this, Rudy. Go ahead, drop that walkthrough with Ozzy. The
Yeah,
hobby, we need this. I
yeah.
said, three stages of envy, man.
That's
Because
awesome.
and I said that because ask me who my favorite breeder is, and I'm gonna tell you why. Ask me who my favorite breeder is.
Who's your favorite breeder?
And this is not because he's a channel sponsor. That's not why.
Uh
I'm gonna tell you why. No, listen, I'm gonna tell you why. Ozzy is my favorite breeder. Really, I got two favorite breeders. JD is actually one of my favorite breeders too. Anybody
huh.
will tell you my favorite is Xantic. I love the Stormtrooper. But my favorite breeder is Ozzy, and I'm gonna tell you why. anytime you talk to Ozzy, like I'll be on the phone to call him. Anytime you talk to him, if you don't feel like you can buy 17 rental properties, you didn't talk to Ozzy.
That's so true. That
If
is
you don't
so
feel like
true, man.
if you don't feel like you can buy a Chick-fil-A, 3 rental houses, a store, business minded, like he made me feel like I can buy everything. When after I hang up the phone with Ozzy, I'm like, I'm finna go buy the block.
Yeah. Man, that's so true. I think that's probably one of the other things that I really enjoy about Ozzy is, there's so many people that in this industry we idolize, right? We put on some sort of pedestal, and more often than not, it's just because of what they do with their animals, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. But Ozzy is one of those guys that's like, yeah, I breed snakes, I work with snakes, I sell snakes, but this is the other stuff that I do that's a massive part of my financial stability as well as working with snakes. And you can do it too, and it never feels like a sales pitch. You know what I mean? When you're talking to him, it's literally just like, yeah, man, this is what it is. If you just do blah 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 blah, you're in it. And it's so genuine when you talk to him, and it's like, man, you got it all friggin' figured out, my dude. Like, damn.
Literally, he owned a podcast. We talking about snakes, and he goes into, I feel like everybody needs to do a wealth calculator and determine their net worth. And I was like, shit, I'm about to go do this and buy up everything.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
I love it, man. I love it, man. 2 more questions, and then I'll let you get out of here, man, to get back to your friend. But this has been an amazing podcast. It's always fun talking to you, man.
Heck yeah, man.
This is a hot seat question, man, and I want you to do it, man. Now, I feel like this hobby it's not just about the money, it's about the passion, the excitement. So I say that to lead into the question, man. When you're breeding and you have that clutch and snakes are pipping coming through the egg, I want to see your excitement face. Like, how excited do you get when you see those snakes coming through the egg? Give me your pip face. Your snake's
My
pipping
pip face.
Yeah. You're like, yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, depending on what it is and what's pipping, there's a couple different reactions. So I think there could be multiple pip faces. There's the disappointed pip face when you see something come out of the egg and you're like, that's not the one. That's not what it is. There's the okay, that's good. That's good. And then there's the fuck yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I love it, man. I love it, man. That's what this is about, man. Just having fun, man. Now, the last question, man. So, I feel like, all the dopest breeders in the hobby have, amazing mottos. Think about Ozzy, shut up and breed. Canova. You got to read Canova's motto in Morgan Freeman's voice. The snakes of tomorrow. No, I'm dead ass. Like, his motto, I could hear Morgan Freeman saying. I could hear Morgan Freeman saying it. The snakes of tomorrow, today. You heard it. You just heard it, didn't you? You heard Morgan Freeman say that.
I did.
Now think about shout out the balls to you, Gavin's quality in, quality out. So I say this to say that all breeders need a amazing motto. When you reach that level, you need a motto. So what is Brassman's company motto? And if you don't have one, I have one for you, and I want you to say it.
Oh man. I mean, my current motto is literally just quality captive bred reptiles, and it sounds very bland, but I mean that's what I've always strived for, like I've really busted my butt over the years to just be able to produce quality captive bred reptiles, so that and I mean that goes as far back as 2000, the early 2000s, where you can find customers of mine that are like, yeah, I got this snake from him 10, 12 years ago. It's a solid animal, so it's simple, it's it's plain, as some people would say, but it really does represent that foundation that if you're going to buy an animal from me, it's going to be a quality, solid animal.
I love it. I love it. That's an awesome motto. But can I give you a motto that I think will be good for Brassman Reptiles?
Yeah, take me there, bro. Take me there.
I'm gonna play it, and then you got to watch this, and then I want you to say it.
Oh boy. Okay.
If you think I'm here to play around with y'all, God damn it, I'm not.
I missed the sound. I have to play it again because I missed the sound.
If you think I'm here to play around with y'all, God damn it, I'm not.
All right, Mr.
I like that. See, now
If
we're gonna do
you
that.
think I'm here to play around with y'all, God damn it, I'm not. I think that's perfect.
That is an awesome motto for Brassman Reptiles. If you think I'm here to play around with y'all, God damn it, I'm not.
It's the perfect amount of real, slightly offensive, and solid.
All right, man. Jeremy, man, this was an amazing hour, man. I love you, man. You my brother. I tell everybody that.
Yes, sir.
I'm your brother, man. You know, from another mother. Now, before we leave, one more thing. What could I send you? Because I ain't gonna lie, I'm poor, you know. But if I send you 3 McChickens, a beautifully potted flower, and a half-eaten Snickers, could I get you to change your name on Instagram to Branova Reptiles?
Nah. Nah, not a chance. Not a chance.
That's good. Hold on, somebody just tagged. I'm looking forward to adding some Brassman quality captive bred Morelia snakes to the Snakes and Grand
Hey,
family.
I appreciate you, Craig, man. Craig is wonderful.
That's powerful, man. Like, what if I want to do that? DeNova. That's powerful, bro.
Oh man, listen, I give Justin a lot of credit for taking that step with such a massive rebrand. You know, there's certainly been other people that have rebranded and restructured their business, but I don't think anybody's gone quite to that. You know, that step. You know, it went Jacob Belka Reptiles to just Canova. I mean, that's amazing. Yeah, I give Justin a lot of props for doing that. Absolutely.
I love it, man. I love it, man. Again, man, thank you so much for giving us an amazing hour. Please go support Jeremy. I was about to say Justin. Shout out to you know, we talking about him.
Yeah.
Please go give Jeremy some love. Support you, Sark. It's so important. He's out, you know, Jeremy's out there fighting for us. We all need to be fighting. Please go anytime
Absolutely.
Jeremy's live, go share it out. He's doing just amazing stuff, and he's trying to help the hobby, man. So we love you, man. I'm gonna let you get back to your family, your friends, man. Thank you so much for giving me an amazing hour.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate it. And yeah, I just want to end by saying please support USARC. People in North Carolina really need the help as we face this Tegu ban and all this other legislation. And please realize that there's also a federal piece of legislation that's a potential traveling animal ban. So go check out usarc.org. We really need your help. We really need your support to be able to keep doing what we want to do. So please do that. I don't care if you follow me. Go follow USARC. That's way more important.
I'm awesome, man. Awesome, man. I'm gonna let you get out of here, man. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you, man.
Man, awesome podcast, man. That's my big brother Jeremy, man. You know, Brassman Reptiles, formerly of Nerd. You know, so much knowledge. You know, so much knowledge and so much fun in an hour, man. That's what this is about, man. Coming somewhere, getting some knowledge, having a little bit of fun, and then we getting out of here, man. So much love to everybody in the chat. Please go follow everybody, man. Follow Craft Brew, Kurtwood, My Animal House, Lizard Mom, everybody, Troy, Best Dressed Balls. Thank you for the super chat, man. Go follow everybody in our communities. Too many to name. I'm gonna miss some, but I still love you. Been a wonderful with constrictors. Guys, Freeze, J&G Reptiles, these balls and exotics. Please go follow Roundup Rodeo, man. He's doing some incredible stuff over there. Everybody in our thing, man. Ozak, man. Go follow her. Just shout out to everybody in the chat, man. Shout out to the channel members, and of course, the channel sponsors. Go support Ozzy Boys, the Reptile Report, Redline Science, Venom Proof Cages, and of course, Balls to You. All amazing supporters of my channel. Go follow this man right here, man. I love that, man. That's my brother right there, man. So Wiz Constrictors, Kurt Wood, everybody, man. We out of here, man. This is Big Reptile Talk. If you're still here, shoot over to My Animal House. They're getting ready to have an amazing podcast. Go give them some love, man. Until next time, man, I'm out of here.
You don't start things and not finish them. You don't quit. There's nothing that comes out of quitting besides knowing that you didn't finish. We finish everything. You start it, finish it. If you're going to do it to try to be the best. Not to be better than other people, but to be the best for you. You grind hard so you can play hard. The work you put in will pay off. It could be a year, it could be 30 years, but you keep grinding. Welcome